All right, Summit Daily viewers, Antonio Olivero, sports and outdoors editor with the Summit Daily News, coming at you today from the Buffalo Cabin Trailhead, way at the top of Wilderness, for a hike of Buffalo Mountain, one of the iconic mountains here in Summit County. That kind of round dome look as you're coming down from the Interstate 70 Eisenhower Tunnel. Buffalo with its famous couloir. We'll be hiking up the standard route today, steep, going from about 9,700 feet, 9,800 feet down here at the top of Wilderness to the summit around 12,700, 12,800. So about 1,000 feet on average elevation gain per mile. It's going to be a steep hike. Should be steeper in spots, obviously, as we scramble up the rock piles on the shoulder of Buffalo to gain the ridgeline there. But it should be fun following these rock cairns. So we've climbed moderately. Definitely get your blood pumping as we get to the burn zone from the 2018 Buffalo Mountain Fire. Just shows the beauty of Mother Nature as these wildflowers are sprouting up here where Summit County had one of our greater scares really in our history a couple years back, when fire not too far from that Buffalo Cabin trailhead right along this trail burned down a lot of this terrain. As we can see, the mountain we're climbing, Buffalo Mountain, in between these trees that were burned up in the fire. So as we continue to hike through the burn zone, it's worth noting that the fuel breaks or fire breaks that the Forest Service and other partners of theirs put in above the Wilderness neighborhood really helped to save that neighborhood, along with obviously the firefighting effort by the wildland firefighters. But fuel breaks were crucial to containing this fire to just this zone and not reaching the many homes in the Wilderness community on the slopes of Buffalo Mountain below. So at 0.35 miles and about 200 feet of elevation gain, you're going to come to the Eagle's Nest Wilderness marker. So beyond here, dogs must be kept on a leash as we continue on the trail up to Buffalo Mountain. .6 miles and about 250, 260 feet of elevation gain into the hike. You're gonna come to this trail junction with South Willow Creek, continuing straight ahead, as you can see at left. Then further to the left, the Buffalo Cabin Trail, continuing to the right, spur to Royal Buffalo Drive. So this Buffalo Cabin Trail off the Buffalo Mountain Trailhead, again, not this trail here at left, but then the one further at left that from this vantage point climbs a little steeper, is what you're going to want to take to get up to the summit. So 0.96 miles into the hike, just under a mile after we took that leftward jaunt at the trail junction. Just to give you an idea, we've gained about 500-600 feet. Trail's starting to get a little steeper, as you can see. But to give you an idea, at 0.96 miles to only gain 500-600 feet, though this has been steep and certainly moderate gain at the least from the trailhead, means we got to make up that much more of a climb once we get to Buffalo's notorious scree field. Should be fun. So just a few minutes later, about 1.25 miles into the hike, some progressively steeper switchbacks through the woods here, bringing us up to about 10,500 feet. Pick up the elevation gain. We've now gained about, I'd say, 750 feet. As you can see, the trail here in the Wilderness, we get to get more scrambly like. We should have about another, I'd say, 700 to 1,000 feet of elevation gain, maybe less, until we get to tree line here on Buffalo. 57 minutes, 1,200 feet of elevation gain into the hike. We are right now cresting 11,000 feet as we hike up this steep wooded trail to the scree field up on Buffalo. As you could see, stays pretty steep this whole way. It's steeper in parts actually, a little bit down below. So once you get to about the mile mark, a little bit after that, hope that your Wheaties kicked in, because you're gonna be climbing pretty steadily. The good news is, like I said, now we're about 1,200, 1,300 feet of elevation gain into the hike, which gets us closer to about the halfway mark of our elevation gain. To give you an idea, gaining about 3,000 feet of elevation, we are, like I said, about, I don't know, 1.6 miles into the hike, and we've gained about 1,200 feet. So it's gonna get steeper. So it's this cairn with a huge tree limb sticking out the top of it that signifies tree line here on Buffalo Mountain. You could see the scree climb we got up ahead. We are just about 2 miles into the hike, so another mile of hiking approximately. As you can see, a few different groups of hikers up ahead climbing. About a mile left, but about 1,400 feet, if I'm guessing right, the elevation gain over that mile. So it's gonna get steep, as you can see. Super important to spot, namely on the way down. It's gonna signify where you're going to lose your scree descent through Buffalo Mountain's rocky slopes, and where you're gonna find this trail that will bring you back to more traditional hiking experience. So as we climb up a little bit here through this trail, I'm gonna pan back around so you guys can see what I'm talking about, because I've seen many a hiker on this trail climb up and just continue down the rocks there in the distance, because the kind of scree continues down, but you want to make sure you find that cairn on the way down so that you can hit this trail. As we climb up, be warned, the cairns leading your way up the mountain, few of them, if any, are going to be as big as that one down below that you're going to spot as you ascend. They may be a rock pile as simple as this one up here that previous hikers have helped us out with, that will help your way up the mountain. And it may not be perfect, but once you get to one like this one, you should be able to look up ahead. If you guys look in the distance, there's another one I can spot kind of in the sight line beneath those two female hikers up above. Actually a couple. So just be ready, one cairn to the next. You'll get your way there eventually. About 1,900 feet of elevation gain into our hike. Just want to give you guys an idea. Here on Buffalo Mountain, unlike say Quandary Peak, panning back left, that left twin peak beyond Lake Dillon, there really is a pretty good trail worn into the rocky slopes of Buffalo Mountain. You could see a pair of cairns, actually a few leading up as we continue up. You could see here the footing is pretty well secure, not really any loose rocks I've come across yet, though you always want to be careful. And then, like I said, just spotting one cairn here, as you can see. Then we're going to switch back around, continue the climb up, and just spot the next cairn, which you can see is up ahead. So actually a pretty well-worn trail through the rocky scree. Watch your footing. Found the next cairn. You'll be able to keep on ascending. As you can see here, switchbacks around to that next cairn located on top of that bigger boulder. So we'll just take you all the way through so you guys can get an idea of what the hiking experience is like here. So right here you can see somebody's hiked up here. Looks like there's somewhat of a cairn up there, but just seeing those cairns up ahead, I'm gonna stick to what seems to be, as you can see here, the more obvious way that they recommend you go as we climb up to the next cairn. Right here, I spot a few more up ahead, so I'm going to continue that way as I climb up these rocks. Be ready to switch back around as we see here, finding this next set of cairns. Give you an idea of the footing on this trail. as we get to the next cairn. 2.3 mile marker and about 2200 feet of elevation gain into the hike. You're gonna come to this as we pan back over and show you the climb we've done so far from tree line at Buffalo Mountain. You're gonna come to this on my left here, kind of bigger rock formation. Here you might be confused about where to go, whether it be left or right. I looked left, there were no cairns, so I decided to kind of come on this trail here and walk through this little bit of weathered rock here around the corner, and boom, you start to spot cairns. So just to give you an idea of kind of some of the route finding you may do. Also saw some hikers here a minute ago who were continuing up, so we're going to continue up this way. So about 2300 feet of gain, just under 2.5 miles I believe into the hike. So approximately, if I'm guesstimating, about a half mile left. These cairns, as you can see, a little pika running around next to one of the cairns up ahead. There he is. You're gonna come to kind of this final cairn here that, don't be fooled by it, even though it's pointing up that way to that kind of rocky ledge summit that I'm panning toward now. Just continue along the right side of that rock tower there and you'll find the single track trail that you can see those hikers up ahead are hiking up toward. So you can see those tufts of white hair in the alpine vegetation up here. It's a sign that we're in mountain goat territory. One and only other time I've been up here, it was right around here that I saw a little tribe of mountain goats. See if we run into any today as we head up toward Buffalo Summit, which you can see the saddle of up ahead. The couloir is down at left. 2.8 miles into the hike as Red Peak comes into view in the distance. We are about, I'd say, 300 feet of elevation gain, maybe closer to 200 from the summit. Don't be fooled when you come through that scree field. The steepest hiking is ahead of you. The manner in which hikers have carved switchbacks, those cairn spotted switchbacks into that scree field, have made that climb through the steepest slope, at least on this side of Buffalo Mountain, relatively I guess tame, for lack of a better term, although it's still steep and it's going to kick your butt. But once you get through that scree field, you're going to come to, after that rock tower I pointed out, a little bit of a meadow that's going to reprieve as you walk through those mountain goat tufts. Their territory, that flat ground, protects them from storms with, you know, some of the slopes around them. Then the steepest hiking is ahead of you. Okay, I'll be frank. At about 12,800 feet here, as we approach Buffalo Mountain Summit, which you can see a hiker's on straight ahead, just over 3 miles into our hike, just under 3,000 feet of elevation gain. It doesn't relent. You might look at Buffalo and see its rounded dome top, and you might even look at the topo lines and think, once we get through the scree field and once we get through the climb after the scree field, as you can see the burn zone down to the bottom left of the wilderness neighborhood, you might be thinking, might get a chance for a reprieve. That's not going to happen, as you can see the lingering snowfields here near the summit of Buffalo Mountain. All right, so classic Rocky Mountain climb here on Buffalo Mountain. Almost exactly 3,000 feet of elevation gain over almost exactly 3 miles, just a little over 3 miles of distance. We'll show you here the imposing view down into Silver Couloir, which many a skier and snowboarder now come from around the world to ski the 50 classic ski descents in North America. So that's obviously looking out toward Lake Dillon. That's that classic, almost volcano-like view you get driving down from Interstate 70, which is up that way. Summit of Buffalo, right around 12,800 feet. We'll pan around to give you guys a view into the craggy Gore Range over there. A lot of snow lingering in there as you look down in toward that gulch. Vale and Eagle County, generally in that direction. We've got some hikers coming across the ridge line as we'll pan over by Red Peak, and you'll see the nature of this somewhat of a knife's edge ridgeline up here on Buffalo, though I'd say to this point in the hike, don't be worried that you're going to be scrambling over anything too technical. Now, if you were to continue on to the final summit, as you might be able to see a woman over there, the scrambling But in the distance, the woman in the distance, the scrambling to get to that final summit. Be ready for some technical class 3 scrambling. Don't make, the number one mistake I'd say when ascending a scree-filled slope like this is you fall in love so much with the scrambling, especially if you're newer to it, or you just want to get through it so bad because you're really not enjoying it. You keep your head down almost like a basketball player. You don't look up here and there to see what's all around you, and then all of a sudden you look up and you don't see a cairn or a rock pile in front of you, and you don't see one behind you. And that's when you could be in a tricky spot. So, enjoy the climbing and enjoy using your hands and getting down on all fours, and a true Rocky Mountain hiking experience. But be sure to keep your head up, and if you do so on Buffalo Mountain, you'll be in for a great hike with little stress. Alright, and as we hike back down, we run into one of Buffalo Mountain's locals. Just chewing on some lunch. Taking a look out over the domain. Give them some space and don't get too close. Respect this wildlife. Though we do gotta go down this trail right about here, so pretty sure these locals are used to hikers. Obviously, Buffalo Mountain's a popular trail, but want to be respectful. And he wasn't the only one. As we continue down on this kind of single track trail from above tree line on Buffalo, you could see the rest of the tribe just gnawing on those wildflowers, early to mid-July wildflowers. With the way the snow and the weather was this year, man, they must taste good right now for those goats. As you can see, the rest of Summit County, the domain they look over out ahead,